Welcome back, everybody. A heated debate continues as the fate of the Caddo Parish Confederate Monument remains up in the air.
As the conversation stirs up questions of the past, I sat down with a local historian for a look at the statue's history.
Stop the race baiting, the things that you're doing.
For you to have something that only symbolizes one person.
Emotions high for some when asked about the Caddo Confederate Monument. But in the early 1900s, the front of the original Caddo courthouse was empty. It was almost 40 years since the end of the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict on U.S. soil.
People were getting over the war, getting over the consequences of the war, black and white. If you read stories in books or listen to lectures from Northern historians, they're going to say the Civil War ended and then it was the Gilded Age, not in the South.
LSUS professor and historian Dr. Gary Joyner has spent much of his career studying the Civil War. He says the local monument's part of a movement that swept much of the country to preserve the memory of Confederates who died in battle. You
have to remember that the context of this is that this is 35 years after the war. Many of these veterans are still alive.
In 1896, about 25 to 30 local women joined that movement, forming Chapter 237 of the United Daughters of the Confederacy. Through public and private donation, they were able to hire famous sculptor German immigrant Frank Teich. The monument, made of granite and marble, includes the busts of 4 famous Confederate generals. It cost $10,000, about $275,000 in today's money. And Chapter 237 says the monument's less about the 4 Confederate generals and more about the soldier atop the 30-foot statue.
Think of it as an abstract pyramid and he's at the top. So he's the one that's being honored. The generals below him are there because they're recognizable, but the monument does not honor them.
Greek muse Clio also featured, writing in the book of history, highlighting the important role women played at a time when they had fewer rights.
The ladies that did it didn't have the right to vote. They didn't have the right to own land unless there was a co-signer of a father or a brother or a husband.
Archival photos show a crowd at the 1906 unveiling, celebrated by some during an era marked with inequality and violence nationwide.
We were at the period known as the Native period, which is the lowest point in black America's after post-Reconstruction on to where we were lynched.
During that period, southern states, there was, if not state-sponsored, state-looking-the-other-way terror.
All parts of our local past helping paint the entire picture of that time. Tomorrow night on Fox 33 News at 9, we're going to hear more from the local Civil Rights Coalition about Caddo's black history in the early 1900s.
Great story there. Great story.